Welcome into the POD Sports Zone. Well, Major League Baseball recently outlined a bag full of experimental rules it plans to implement at different levels in the minor league system, and Coach Joe and I will talk about that straight ahead.
Hey everyone, it's Altu Hawaiian coming at you from my beautiful, beautiful garden here in Hawaii. You know what they say, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Anyway, I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you to Philippines On Demand, POD's new show, Sport Zone, with Bill and Joe, happening every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Philippines time. Be there. Let's get it on.
Working one-on-one with 4, with 3, with 2 on the clock. Kobe! Here goes Barry Sanders. He's gone.
Twins looking for their second power play goal of the year.
There's a breaking ball in for a strike, and he stood there like the house by the side of the road and watched it go by.
Well, Coach Joe, we'll break down each as we go, but would you like to mention some of the changes, kind of brush over it, and let us know about your personal feelings about these changes that are taking place in the minor leagues?
Yeah, just to name a couple, they're not going to let them shift defensively to a rover position. We'll get more in depth into that. And the electronic ball strike system. We'll get into that as well. There's a couple others, as Bill said when we started, a bag full. It is kind of a bag full, and we'll talk about it. We're going to beat it up. Bill's in favor of some of them. I'm in favor of some of them. So we're going to debate that a little bit.
Absolutely. Some of the other ones is a 15-second pitch clock, which I think is just absolutely crazy. It's my understanding that they're already enforced that in the minor leagues on some levels, but the feedback has been that they're not really enforcing that 15-second pitch clock. So, Joe, it's like, why even have it?
Yeah, go figure. I think the reason they're probably not enforcing some of this stuff is they probably don't believe in it either. And it's kind of hard to force something when you don't really agree with it.
Now, some might say, it'll speed the game up. It's going to speed the game up, keep things moving along. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But the problem that I do have is what I've been hearing back, what I've been reading, is that, they have incorporated that, implemented that already, and they haven't really been enforcing the 15-second pitch clock. So there again, it goes back to why even implement such a rule if you're not going to enforce it. It just kind of seems silly to me.
To some degree, I actually like the rule. I don't know that I like 15 seconds. By the time the catcher gets the wind. So are they holding a clock? Is there a stopwatch? Who starts the 15 seconds?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, sometimes I think pitchers do dilly-dally too long and they walk off the mound and they got to fix their hair and play with their cap. And it really does slow the game down. So I would like to see something in place. I think 15 might not be reasonable. But for them to just constantly be stepping off the rubber, looking over to first base constantly, I think that gets to be a little excessive and does draw the game out. But 15 seconds, who's holding the stop clock? What's the penalty?
Yeah.
What's the penalty for it?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe a balk. I have no idea. And for anybody, it's crazy. So I think it's just part of the feeling out process. I don't really think that one's going to carry a whole lot of weight. Let's go back and start in with what you talked about leading in was the shifts.
If I were to ask you to take a step back and envision what a typical baseball team looks like out on the field, what would you see? Most likely, you would picture all 4 infielders stationed at their respective bases, and the outfielders spread equidistant apart from one another in the outfield. But with the data available at the game's highest levels, we've started to see a shift, pun intended, away from this over the past decade. If you know a hitter will spray most of the balls put in play into a certain area, wouldn't you want to position your players within that area to increase the likelihood of recording an out? I know I would. In today's video, we will cover what the shift is, how teams do it, and if you stick around till the end, you'll hear my take on if the shift really works. We're going to break it down into infield positioning shifts and outfield positioning shifts, starting with your typically positioned infield. This one is pretty obvious, but I think it's important to talk about some of the different positionings that teams use that fall into this category. The first being double play depth, where your 2 middle infielders pinch the middle in order to increase their chances of reaching the bag in time to turn a double play. This is not considered a shift. Although the athletes have moved within their position slightly, there is a border that they must cross in order for their positioning to be considered a shift. This is the same for infield in, or any other positioning you can think of, such as the corner infielders shading towards the line to try and eliminate any doubles. These examples of your typical positioning may seem pretty obvious, but it gives you an idea where the extreme shifts came from. Every single pitch, every single athlete on the field is moving one way or another, attempting to position themselves where they believe they have the best chance to make a play. That's what shifts are all about too. We just have more data backing up those positioning ideas available to us than we did 10 years ago. Moving on to the strategic shift. This is where one player may be out of their typical position, such as a second baseman moving out into the outfield because the hitter at the plate never puts the ball on the ground towards the right half of the field. Then there are your major shifts, which is most likely the reason you clicked on this video. These shifts include moving 3 or more players to one side of second base, typically to the right side of the bag when lefties are up, and the left when righties are. The goal of this is to eliminate as many ground ball or line drive base hits to one side of the field. Most likely these hitters are labeled as extreme pull hitters, and the advantage of creating more outs to all balls hit to one side of the field outweighs the risk of allowing an easy base hit if the player were to pull down and bunt. Would you prefer a player to hit a double or a home run against a normal position field, or increase your chances at an out if the ball stays in the park? That's the idea. Also, I say 3 or more players because it's not uncommon to see the third baseman even shift to directly behind second base. These decisions are not made blindly. As I mentioned previously, the field can be split up into several sections, and every time a ball is put in play to one of those sections, that is recorded. For most infield shifts, we focus on ground balls and line drives rather than fly balls, because those are the plays that position players play a larger role in recording that out. The main takeaway is that if a hitter doesn't hit balls to one of these sections, you probably don't need to have a position player stationed there. The situation matters here, of course, but we won't dive into that in today's video. Then we can pop on over to the outfield positioning, where things get a little simpler. In these areas, we can actually swap our focus away from ground balls in exchange for fly balls. I'm sure that you understand why. Just like infielders, outfielders are moving around on every single play. Shifting in and out or a couple steps left and right does not count as a shift. You may see strategic shifts in the outfield as well, where one player moves drastically from his position towards where the hitter most frequently hits fly balls. You get the point there. But finally, we move back into our major shifts where you see, again, 3 outfielders to one side of second base. This is a risky move, and because of that, it is also quite rare. The other main major shift we see in the outfield is when an infielder, typically the third baseman, moves out into the outfield to position 4 outfielders. This is used to attack hitters who are mainly fly ball hitters. The threat of an infield single is less than that of a double to one of the gaps.
Okay, that's shifts 101, Joe. So what's your initial feeling about shifting?
Well, watching that diagram there, that was actually really informative. The field kind of looked like Wrigley Field a little bit, the way it was, the outfield was cut back there. I gotta ask you first. What's your take on it? You're the baseball guy. You're the traditionalist.
Well,
the masses want to hear from you, Bill.
I doubt that. They're here for you, Coach Joe. They're here for you. Statistics say so. Well, since you're asking me, I will say this. Shifting has been going on for years upon years. I mean, we can go back all the way back to Ted Williams. and before. Now, it's not as noticeable back then because people really didn't make it a thing back in the day. It was just normal part of the game. But they weren't doing what we call major shifting. It was just positional, like maybe bringing the shortstop and playing them over on the second base side of the bag, or shifting the outfield to favor, left field or right field. That's been going on for years. I think, Coach, when we look back at it, so when did all of this start? Well, you probably have to kind of point to the analytics, when baseball turned to analytics. And they started categorizing and started keeping track of hitters' habits, pitches that they swing at, where they swing at a pitch in the zone, where they drive the ball into the field. So since then, Coach, back about 11 years ago, almost 2,500 shifts occurred. But in recent years, close to 47,000 shifts occurred. And that is because of the analytics that the baseball minds went to. It's all computerized data, and it was like in one of those, that video that showed you when a hitter is known to hit to the right side of the infield, they're going to shift the left side of the infield over to the right side. So a lot of that went into effect, more grossly, if you will, over the past 10 years. As a traditionalist, the subtle shifting has always been there. I don't have a problem with the subtle shifting. But, Coach, I'm going to come back to you, and I want to show you and our viewers something that I don't agree with. Now, it's my opinion that your two fastest players in the outfield are your center fielder and your left fielder. So if you could see a quick glimpse of your outfielders there, what they did was they pulled the right fielder to come in to play between first and second, and then they swung the shortstop over to the second base side of the bag. That's how they ended up with 4 or 5 guys on that side of the field, leaving only the third baseman, over by the third base bag. And then, of course, you got your left fielder and your center fielder. They split the outfield. That, Coach, is a long way around of saying I don't like the heavy shifting. What are your thoughts on that?
So you don't like the heavy shifting?
No, I don't like the major shift.
Let's go.
Oh, you got a little how-to Hawaiian in you.
You ready?
Hey.
Come on.
What?
It's Major League Baseball. They should be able to shift where. This isn't Little League.
No.
Little Tommy's not up to bat. No, the poor kid can't hit the ball to the left side of the field. Yeah, so you have to back everybody off and just let him hit it in the first place. That's fine. This is Major League Baseball. You don't get to tell me how I'm going to coach the game. I can shift where I want. Learn how to hit the ball. Learn how to hit the ball the other way. Bill, you had trouble hitting the ball as it was. So you get up. Of course, you get up. You get up. Of course, the shift is on. It's Major League Baseball. The managers can put them wherever those guys should be able to step up to the plate and hit at the opposite field, opposite infield, any given time. The one video you showed, I'm even gonna tell you why you're wrong. The one video you showed wasn't even a double play. The guy was safe at first base.
Okay.
I have 9 guys. I can put them where I want them. I can put them where I want them.
Yeah. Here, let me point something out.
Oh, I know you will. You always do.
Yep. Now, Coach, sit on your gloves. All right. Sit on your gloves for a moment. That's right.
Nope.
That's right. Get them up or get them down.
Keep them up. Keep them up.
That when on contact with the ball, the first play off of that bat went to home plate. So they saved the run. They got the runner out going from third to home. They tried to do a double play and throw it down to first, and that wasn't in time. But what they did was they accomplished the goal, And the goal was to make sure that guy from third base didn't score. All right.
So in the game of baseball, who wins?
The ones that score more runs.
The ones that score more runs. So they stopped the guy from scoring, and you're going to sit there and try to tell me that's wrong.
Yes, I'm going to tell you from a traditional standpoint. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, here's my point on that.
Yeah, everybody should get a participation trophy. I get it. I get it, Bill.
Yeah, it's not about that. Here's my point on that, Coach Joe. You ate too many Wheaties this morning. I don't know. Maybe we'll go back to recording it, in the morning my time.
You're trying to tell the masses out there that they should be allowed to score in the game of baseball. Every game played with the ball.
No. That's
except for golf.
That's not what I'm saying. Joe, that
is what you're saying.
Coach, I think you've been hit in the head too many times.
No.
But you retire those gloves. Here's my point. You don't load up 5 guys on one side of the field when analytics tell you that's where that player hits the ball to. Okay, here's the reason why I don't like it. I would rather see major leaguers utilize their God-given talents. And I would rather see them stay home, stay in their own positions, and I would like to see them make a spectacular play. I think it would be somebody got.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I fall asleep?
Yeah. Here's the thing. It when you start doing that, it also leads into that 15-second clock that you were talking about that you really don't like, or actually that what did you say, that you actually liked it because it speeds the game along? Yes,
I think 15 seconds. 15 seconds is not enough, but they need to do something for these guys standing around because these games don't need to go 4 hours.
Bam, 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 bam. That's what I'm talking about. So when you shift 5 guys over to the right side of the infield, where analytics tell you this is where the guy's going to hit, this stretches the games. These moves also stretch the games out because it makes it more difficult for the batter to put the ball into play. But
they got an out instead of a run, and then the game's longer because they're still running the base path. You got to come up with something better than that, Bill.
No, here's my whole point, Coach. My whole point is I would rather see an athlete use his God-given athletic ability to make a spectacular play on the ball by staying on his side of the bag. These major shifts, I don't have a problem with the minor shifts, the subtle shifts, when you move a guy over or when you move the outfield over a little bit to favor one side. I don't mind those. But when you do a major shift like the one we just saw, I think that's kind of taking it a little bit over the top. Don't you, Coach?
It's Major League Baseball. They're professional athletes. Bill Belichick from New England one year, they played somebody. Yep, they scored like 52 points or 54 points on somebody. And in the press conference, they said, Coach Belichick, don't you feel like you were running it up on your opponent? And his response was, my offense gets paid to score. Their defense gets paid to stop me from scoring. I'm not going to tell my offense not to score. Boom. He's exactly right. It's professional sports. So after round 1, go back to your corner, put some ice on your eyebrows. I win round 1 because you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm wrong because you say I'm wrong?
Round 2. I'm up on the scorecard.
Okay, you're up on. Let's take another look at some of the shifting that goes on. Let's take a peek here. All right, you see a little shift. It's a subtle shift. It's not the major shifting that took place. You see, that's a second baseman out there, that on the porch out there in right field. That's not the right fielder. That's the second base.
They're infielders. By what you're saying, they should have to stand in the infield. Then your second baseman was out there playing rover position like it's men's league softball.
Joe, get the grease out of your ears. That goes on your forehead before a fight. Your trainer, he puts that on your cheeks and on your forehead, not in your ears. You're not listening. I said I don't have a problem with them shifting a second baseman out into the short right field to assist out there. What I don't like is the major shifting, bringing your outfielders into the infield and then bringing your shortstop coming over second base, side of the bag, first base side of second base, to flood that infield. 4 or 5 guys over there. And I think that's a little bit too excessive. But what I'm talking about here is these are basic positional shifts. And I don't have a problem with what you're seeing here. I have a problem with the major shifting that takes place in the major leagues.
Yeah. We all heard it. That's an infielder. He should have to play in the infield. Yep.
No. I didn't say that. I said it's okay to bring your second baseman and play him. But according to the shift rules that they're enforcing in the minor leagues, they're saying the infielders, your first, second, third baseman, and shortstop cannot have their feet on the outfield grass.
Yep, that's what I was getting at. That they have to play in the infield. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I agree with you there.
It's like Little League baseball again.
I agree with you there. That's minor shifting to me. Okay, that's standard positional shifting. But when they do the major shifting, that's where Billy has a problem.
Billy has a problem, all right.
So I think that. So you feel as though the major shifts are A-okay.
Absolutely. Let's play ball, Bill. Let's play ball.
And again, I don't have a problem with the standard positional shifting. Shortstop goes out in short left field. Second baseman goes out in the short right field. I don't have a problem with that. We've done that ever since, when I played ball in high school. I don't have a problem with that. That's the baseball I grew up with.
Well, right now I'm contemplating never taking you to another Brewer game with me ever again. So,
well, if it's a Brewer game, my only thing is thank you. All right. Let's talk about ABS. All right, the automated ball strikes thing that they got going on. That to me, that is, another thing that, kind of gets in my crawl a little bit. So what is it? Well, let's just take a quick glance at something here. We'll try to pull it up on the screen. But the ABS basically is the automated ball strike system. And that's actually been incorporated into minor league baseball. As you can see here, now look at there. See the guy there? He's arguing because the ball was pitched high. And it's not the umpire that made the call. It's the ABS system. It's the automatic ball strike system. As you can see there, the number 3 ball that shows to be in the strike zone, Coach Joe, is what he's contesting. He's saying that it was high and that pitch was high according to ABS, that it did not fall within the box. Now, here's the thing.
So in that one, ABS said that was a strike.
Yeah, ABS said it was a strike. And
that was high.
That's why the umpire called him out.
That was high. That was a ball.
That was the third strike. So it was high. but here's the problem now that I have with ABS. Somebody has to compute the zones into the computer. It's all computerized. So the left side and the right side of the zone of the plate is doing pretty well in the minor league systems. This has been in place for a while now, and they're increasing it. So this is not exactly brand new, but it is new to a lot of people because a lot of people aren't aware of what's happening. They calculated and calibrated is a better word. The outside, the inside and the outside portions of the plate. Where it doesn't calibrate correctly is your vertical. And that's where the batter was complaining, because the batter, he's in a crouched position. And in baseball, traditional baseball, the strike zone is from the shoulders to the hollow point of the knees. All right. So from the ground to your shoulders, on average, is 3.6 feet from the ground. Now, when you got a short guy like this, when you have human element in the game, the actual umpire calling the balls and strikes, Joe, the umpire allows for the crouch, for the position of the hitter. And the umpire adjusts the strike zone according to each individual's personal strike zone, according to their height, their size, okay? Now, this ABS system doesn't do that. What they did was they calibrated it on an average. So if you got a short guy coming up to the plate, and you got a tall guy, a guy that's maybe a whole foot taller than him, guess what? That calibration is going to be set out of the hitter's strike zone.
With a system like that, it's not called ABS. They should just call it BS. You talked about the size of the batter. Forgive me, off the top of my head, I can't think of his name. The Yankees have that guy that's just an absolute stud. Hit a ton of home runs here the last couple of years. He's Judge. Yeah, he's almost 6'7".
Yeah.
So how does that system work for a guy like that?
Absolutely. Take a look at it again. See, this is a big guy in there. That's a big guy. This is another tall guy. This guy, he's crouched. Okay, that's a strike. That was down in the zone. That's not a problem. That's not a problem right there because they're all in the strike zone. Now look at this guy. He's crouched. All right? This guy's crouched. And he's saying that the ball was too high, that he had a problem with the vertical on that. Let me take you. See how he's arguing there? Yeah.
You argue balls and strikes and be as animated as he is about that in baseball, they toss you out almost immediately. I guarantee you that umpire completely understands where that young man's coming from, and he's not going to toss him out because he's not arguing balls and strikes. He's not arguing something that the umpire is standing there doing. It's a system. I guarantee the umpire didn't. Normally, they're going to toss them out right now as soon as they get that animated.
Right. Let's take another look now. Here's the scenario. Let's take a look at this. This is a Giants prospect, Jacob Hayward. Now he got called out. He got called out. He's saying that the ball was out of the strike zone. He doesn't like it. This is minor league. Okay, there you go. Look at there. That's the ABS graph. According to this, that was a strike. According to that, it was a strike because it passed through the strike zone. But these short guys, as opposed to these tall guys, when it comes to the verticals, Joe, I don't agree with it. I don't agree that the ABS system is going to get any more better than the umpires do. Now here's a stat I'm going to throw for you. Here's a stat for your ass. All right, I took that from Coach Carter in that movie, Coach Carter. Here's some stats for your ass. All right, here's the deal: 97% of Major League umpires get it right. 97%. So, Coach Joe, I ask you, how can you create a completely new system, take it out of human hands where they're 97% correct all the time, and then put it in the hands of a robo umpire? Can you justify that?
97%. When you said you were going to give me a stat, I actually thought you were going to tell me 98.5 or 99, honestly, because you're right. They do get it right. Major League Baseball went to the replay where you could challenge here not too long back. I'd like to see the stats on that. I think baseball, more than any other sport, and I mean it 100%, those bang plays at first base and second base, they're almost always right every single time, and it's happening full speed at 100 miles an hour. I don't know why they're even bringing this in. Leave the game alone. What an advantage for pitchers.
Yeah.
Huge advantage for a pitcher.
How can you say that with a straight face? I agree that there's bang plays at first base, but do you remember Detroit Tigers pitcher Galarraga? Joe West called him out at first base, and on the video replay, they called the runner safe. They called the runner safe, and on the replay, it was clearly an out, and it was like, how in the hell can you miss that call? And not only did he miss the call, that would have been the third out in the game, and he screwed Galarraga out of a no-hitter. No-hitter.
Yep. That's the human element. You still are going to get some of that. Angel Garcia is a Major League umpire that is probably the most hated Major League umpire. I wouldn't be surprised if it was him that did it. He tends to umpire the game like the game can't be without him. The umpires, referees, officials should never be a factor in the outcome of a game. And just like in the case that you're just talking about there with the Tigers, clearly not only a factor, but a no-hitter.
Yeah, absolutely. Good second up to the viewers. You like this one. You like this one.
I call it like it is. And after that round was a draw, so after 2 rounds, I'm still up 1.
You're still up 1. Here, let's take a look at this. The radar technology, they use Doppler radar. Sound familiar? The radar technology captures upwards of 27 different and unique measurements per pitch, hit, and the trajectory of the pitch and or hit. TrackMan tagging software collects all standard and advanced statistic driven by on-field play. Now, if you take a look at this chart here, pitch release, it'll show the extension of the release slot, the release and approach angles, the pitch classification, and the velocity. The pitch movement, the spin rate, vertical and horizontal breaks, we were talking about that. And, everybody can kind of sift through that while we talk a little bit more. Here's the other thing that I don't like about the ABS, Coach Joe. The ABS pretty much, from my understanding, records the pitch when it enters the front of the zone, meaning when it comes through the front part of the plate. That's where it records it. Now, my question is this. What happens with a backdoor slider? Some of the strikes, called strikes, strikeouts, the called strikes, namely, is what we're talking about here. When a slider or a slurve comes in, it misses the front part of the plate, but it tails in and it passes through the strike zone. Mm-hmm. But because it went backdoor, if you will, the computer doesn't generate it or call it as a strike because it didn't enter through the front part of the plate. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's a BS system.
Okay.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. They do a great job behind the plate. If you can't have technology calling balls and strikes, if you're going, why have the umpire back there then? They might as well call safes and outs then too.
Yeah,
we know that's not realistic. I just don't understand why they're even messing with this. It's not like you hear an uproar all over the nation about balls and strikes. You don't hear a thing. You watch Sports Center. They're not making a big issue of it. The players aren't making a big, pitchers aren't making a big issue of it. I don't understand it.
I love the human element, with the umpires calling balls and strikes. What are you going to do? When there's a, and it's really not fair to the umpire, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, we don't trust your abilities even at 97%, correct rate. We don't trust you. We want the other 3%. They're not going to get it. This ABS system, Joe, I guarantee you it's going to get it wrong more than the human factor.
For sure. I think this is going to be a one and done. I just don't think it's going to work. Just in the few examples that you already showed there, too many issues. I don't think it's going to work. I do think this one doesn't scare me. I think it's going to go away.
Yeah, it totally sucks. It totally sucks. It really does. That 15-second pitch clock again, that one, I don't necessarily think that they need a pitch clock. I don't think that they're going to enforce it. I think it's kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. Leave the shot clock and that kind of stuff in basketball, but have a 15-second pitch clock in Major League Baseball, that's ridiculous. Between all the communication that goes on from the dugout to the catcher, to the pitcher,
putting the shift on.
Yeah, that lousy ass strong side shift. Man, I can't, Joe, I thought I knew you after 20 years. I never thought that you would support the major shift in baseball. The minor shifting, the standard shifting, yeah, I can see that. But the major shifting like that, I think it's time to hang up the gloves, bro. You've been hit one too many times in the melon.
Put your cleats on, put your cup in, get your glove on, and go out there and play the game.
I'll show them how to play the game.
Just play the game.
Yeah, I think.
But with the pitch clock. So, in football they have the play clock, and basketball, like you said, the shot clock, and those are actually up and on display, where the quarterbacks can see them. Any of the basketball players on the court can see them. So, does the pitcher have to look up somewhere and feel rushed? And now some pitchers, and I really actually enjoy them, they get up there and it's coming. Yeah. They get their signal, it's coming. They move really, really fast. What I like about that is I think it's a great strategy to keep the batter off balance a little bit, not let him think a whole lot about what might be coming, what the pitch count is. I tend to like watching those guys pitch. But I said 15 seconds. I think that's too much. If you got those guys that really lollygag, maybe the umpire needs to come up and say, hey, bro, you need to pick this up. And the second time he comes out, says you need to pick it up. Yeah. And I don't know what the penalty should be, but if I have to come out here on the mound and tell you to stop picking dandelions one more time, so I think there should be something. And I think it's a rare occasion, but from time to time that would prevent a lot of times they'll start to do that when a guy starts to get in trouble and they don't have anybody up in the bullpen, or they had somebody in the bullpen that wasn't ready yet. So they'll lollygag and walk off the mound and do that so the guy can get his pitches in out there in the bullpen. And I understand that that's all just part of the game too. But we're not. I don't think those are the ones we're talking about. Some of these guys are just awfully slow. I do think it slows the game down some. I don't think it requires a 15-second clock.
Yeah. And
did you come up with that? Did you come up with the 15 seconds? That sounds like something you would come up with.
Absolutely not. I'll tell you what I am going to come up with. I'm going to come up with more talk of the pitcher straight ahead.
We're not doing right.
This is Hazy Cheesy here. We would like to invite you to
Philippine On Demand every Saturday, 11 p.m. Filipino time.
Philippine On Demand Sports Zone every Saturday, 11 p.m. Philippine time. Be there.
That was a rugby ball, Bill.
Yeah, that was a rugby.
That was a rugby ball.
Now, how do you like that Filipino with that accent?
Yeah, I noticed that before.
that is just totally awesome. So here's the other thing, Joe, that grates on me greatly is the pitcher. They're in the minor leagues. They're working on this. They can only throw over the first to keep a runner on first base twice, 2 times, no more than that. The third time, if he goes over there, they got to get the runner out. Otherwise, they call it a balk, and the guy on first goes to second. If there's a guy on second, he goes to third base. Now, if the bases are loaded, guess what? A run scores. I totally think that this rule or this thing that they're trying to work on and implement is a complete farce. You know, I understand they want to speed the game up. I get it. But when you allow a pitcher to only throw 2 times over to first base to hold the runner, that runner on first base already knows he used up his 2. So he might stretch the lead a little bit more, but that pitcher might be a little bit more reluctant to go to first base. So instead, he goes to home with the pitch, thus giving that runner at first the advantage and a big jump to second base. You know what, Joe? I don't care. You can show me the gloves. I don't care. And you can threaten me with the right hook. But here's my point. All of these changes are to do one thing and one thing only. It's to increase the offensive part of the game.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it's about. Typically, that's rules when they start adapting rules in any sport is about scoring because fans want to see more scoring. Baseball is a sport where you get a 1-0 game, a 2-1 game with great pitching. Fans actually appreciate that about the game of baseball, and that's the way that it should be. The throws over to first base. I'm going to agree with you on this one. Yeah.
Heart attack.
Hey, on the scorecard, I have the lead. All I have to do is get a draw the rest of the rounds, and I win. So I'm going to agree with you on this one. I love it.
Wait a minute now.
I love it. I'm not even going to. No, the masses don't want to hear. You had your turn. Now it's my turn. So
go ahead, Mayweather.
When they throw over to first base, first time the crowd doesn't really react much. Second time, then they start to boo a little bit. Third time, now the crowd's really getting into it, and they're booing and they're booing. But when their guy's on the mound and throwing it over, they don't say a word. And you get into the playoffs. That's just such an awesome part of the playoff atmosphere is hearing that home team boo or when the opposing pitcher throws it over to first base. I actually love that part of the game. But you actually made a really great point. Once he throws his 2, knowing you got to get the guy out, odds are you're not going to get him out. You're not going to get him in a pickle, even if he does take that big lead. Also, a horrible rule. I don't know why they need to tweak this. Ridiculous. How you came up with 2 throws over there, I don't know.
That's the rule.
Maybe 4, maybe 5. So these rules that you keep coming up with, Bill, they're ridiculous. You need to stop. Just let the game be itself. You don't need to be changing all this stuff.
That's Major League Baseball trying to implement these rules into the minor leagues. And the Major League, I got it right here, formed a committee and placed former Chicago Cubs president Theo Epstein in place as a consultant. And your comment about I'm going to agree with you on this one, Bill, because you're up 1, and all you have to do now is box like Mayweather. You're the one that brought the gloves out at the onset. So you're boxing like Mayweather now. You think you're up by 1. You think you're up, okay? And so you're happy with that. So you're willing to dance. You're willing to grab and clutch and hang on to finish this baby out. That's what you be doing now, Coach Joe.
Stick and move. Stick and move. I'm not interested in hugging your clutching you and hugging your sweaty body. I'm going to move to your left. I'm just going to keep punching you in the nose. I'm not hugging your big sweaty body. I'm not grabbing on. So,
but you admitted that all you had to do was agree with me, and in your thought process, you win the fight. So you're not sticking and jabbing and moving. You're clutching, you're dragging, you're dancing. You're Mayweathering me. That's what you're doing, Coach.
You're easy to hit. You're easy to hit. You're big. You're clumsy. You don't move your feet. This is too easy.
All right, we're going to come back with more.
Aloha, guys. This is the Hapsters all the way from Hawaii. I am inviting you to check out POD Sports Zone along with Bill and Joe. This happens at 11 p.m. Philippines time. Thank you all very much for watching POD Sports Zone. Aloha. This is the Hapsters. Mwah. Love, love, love.
Thank you, the Hopsters. We really appreciate having you in the zone.
Mahalo. I think they say that for a lot of stuff there. Mahalo, mahalo, or mahala, mahalo. So mahalo to the Hapsters. It's a good saying. It's fun, and thanks for doing that.
Get it straight, Joe. Otherwise, she's going to get out the wooden spoon. She got the wooden spoon.
I'll stick and move on the Hapsters too.
You stick, you stick and move on the Hopsters too. That is way too much fun. Until she hits you over the top of the grate with that wooden kitchen spoon. All right, the last famous words from Coach Joe. All right, here's the other one. Larger bags. They're talking about making the base larger, which in a sense will shorten from home plate to first base by about 3 inches, which in itself can alleviate a lot of those, what you were talking about earlier, Coach, those bang, bang plays. How do you feel about making the bases bigger, larger in size?
So aren't they trying to sell this one as a safety measure? Is that did I hear that correctly? The twisted ankles, the guys getting stepped on.
And collisions at first base between the runner and the first baseman and or the pitcher if he's covering. Yeah, you're right. You got one right, Coach. You got one right.
Yeah, stick and move. It's what I do. So as long as the game has been played, how many games have you watched on TV? How many games have you watched in person where a player tweaks an ankle, running to first base, trying to run it out, or any other base for that matter? But first base is typically the one. I know in college softball, because the base path is a lot shorter, they did make the bag bigger because there's so many bang bang plays in women's softball like that. But Major League Baseball in general, it's just I don't know that it's been an issue. I'm somebody that I need some evidence, evidence-based practices. Show me the stats on injuries to runners. Show me the stats on injuries to first baseman, and then I'll tell you that it's okay for you to make all of the bases bigger. I just don't see any need for it. You do get some of those guys that they're dirty. They will run down. Well, you were one of them. They'll run down the middle of the base path, trying to hit the middle of the bag, knowing full well that my foot is there, trying to cause a distraction, trying to cause an injury. Most guys are trying to hit the very front bottom part of that base, hit it there as quick as they can. I also don't like it because if I'm a second baseman or a third baseman, that matter of inches is a huge advantage for me. That's a less space that I have to cover, where I can turn my hips and fling that ball to whatever base I'm going to. So I don't like it. I don't think it's necessary. If it is necessary, Bill, then you need to show me some stats to prove to me that it's necessary, because I know you're a big fan.
Oh, no, I'm not a fan of it. Oh, no.
So when we were talking off camera, you supported this. You loved it. You were all about player safety. But now get him on screen. He doesn't care about player safety. He doesn't care if these guys are safe or not now.
No, wait a minute. You're the one that just said you don't like it.
I don't like it.
So you don't care either.
No, but I didn't. But I didn't come on camera prior and say this is player safety is that's where it's at. I never said that. You did.
Now you're.
See, I think you're taking too many shots. You're starting to get pretty wobbly and pretty dizzy, and your memory's starting to go.
No, I think my memory's just fine. Hey, everybody in the chat, everybody watching this, Coach Joe, where's he at? Over there. He's really good at this kind of thing. He's real smooth. No, not at all. Absolutely not. Hey,
they should have figured out by now. They should have figured out by now that I come in here. I'm a straight shooter. I say it like it is. I take accountability. You lack accountability.
Straight face. You just said all of that with a straight face. That's what makes you good, man.
That's the way it is every day. It's not easy to have to be like this, but that's how it is.
It's not easy to lie with a straight face. Look at that. He wants to bust out. He does. He wants to bust out laughing. He holds it in.
Now Bill's starting to throw punches in the groin area, below the belt. He knows he's behind in the scorecard. So now he's starting to throw some elbows. Next thing you know, I'm gonna get my ear bit off.
Oh my gosh, that's just too crazy. So anyway, yeah, that whole thing. Oh, and that's the reason that they're trying to sell it on injury. But I'll tell you what it's really about. It's about trying to increase the batting averages of the players. It's trying to increase the runners getting on base. When you got like say, for example, when you got a guy over on third base, a runner on third base, all right, you got one out. You got a hitter up that's not necessarily one of your better hitters. He's going to try to do a play, what we call suicide squeeze play. He's going to drop a bunt down the baseline, and he's going to try to advance that runner from third to home, which is great. That's a part of baseball. But by making those bases bigger, and it shortens that first baseline by 3 inches. Sometimes it's just a nary of a step, where you're called out or safe. Baseball is a game of inches. 3 inches might not seem like a lot, but baseball is a game of inches. And it gives the advantage to that hitter, turn runner, to make it to first base. It gives him a higher probability of getting the first base rather than under the conditions in which they're under now. Would you agree with that, Coach?
It's all about run production. Once again, getting guys on base, getting them around the bases, putting more runs on the board. Baseball is a defensive game. It always has been. It needs to stay that way. If this isn't about player safety, it is a little bit, but not enough that they need to start making the bases bigger.
Right.
You might as well just shorten them up a little bit then too, if you want more run production.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'll tell you what. I want to come back and I want to talk about the 7th inning stretch. We'll do that, Joe, when we come back.
Joe-san, this is Hong Kong Explorer all the way from Hong Kong, and I am inviting you all guys to please hang out with Bill and Joe on Sports Zones every Saturday night, 11 p.m. Philippines time. What are you waiting for? Don't miss it. Be there.
What are you waiting for, Bill? Don't miss it. What are you waiting for? We've been recording for an hour. You need to get into the show. You're falling way behind here.
I'm falling way behind. That's what I normally hear in the live streams. Okay, I want to play a song. And this is a part of baseball they better never, ever. Wasn't that guy not cool?
Carey.
Wasn't he awesome?
Yeah, he usually at the end of that he'd say, "Let's get some runs."
Yeah. Awesome, Harry Carey. R.I.P. man.
Great tradition in baseball for sure. Everybody loves the 7th inning stretch. Baltimore, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to play John Denver. Thank God I'm a country boy. For the 7th inning, and people would be up on their feet and doing a little line dancing, and the stadium would get rocking a little bit. So those 7th inning traditions, they don't need to change those.
Yeah. Now, you know me, I'm going to play the devil's advocate. Of course, I agree. Don't change it. I love it. It's part of baseball. It's traditional. I'm a traditionalist. But Joe, I got a question for you. Why do we sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" when we're already there?
Maybe
light it up.
Maybe at the beginning. Maybe they should be playing that at the beginning. But I don't. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that was a dumb question considering the tradition of the whole thing. Kind of a ridiculous question. Another low blow.
No,
but that's all right. I protect myself. That's so we're.
I rocked you. We are now even on the scorecard.
Oh no, no, that wasn't part of the show.
That was part of the show, and it's in the show. It's a part of the show, Just like me, I'm in the show. That makes me a part of the Joe show because I'm in it.
No, we're gonna let the people do the scorecard on this one because they all know I'm ahead. Clearly, they know I'm a straight shooter. They know that you're gonna flip flop back and forth. You're gonna bite and scratch and do whatever you got to do to get some points on the board, and so they'll score it. We'll see in the end. They'll score it.
This reminds me, going to a game way back in the day in 1990s. The Cleveland Indians, they just completely sucked back in the 1990s. I mean, they were really bad, right? It wasn't uncommon to see an empty ballpark there in Cleveland to watch the Indians. So here's the deal. I get on the phone, I call the Cleveland Indian ticket office, and I say, hey, we want to buy 4 tickets. What time does the game start? And the ticket office person said, when can you get here? When can you get here? So
the Cleveland Indians, we on the last show we did, we mentioned them just a little bit from the movie Major League, and you had the awesome clip on there. That movie Major League, do you know where that was filmed? Where was it filmed? Yeah.
Thanks for Milwaukee.
Yeah, it was. It was in Milwaukee. I knew that was coming. I'll
show the viewers.
Yeah.
I'll show the viewers why we're laughing.
Yeah. So the Cleveland Indians, we on the last show we did, we mentioned them just a little bit from the movie Major League, and you had the awesome clip on there. That movie Major League, do you know where that was filmed?
Cleveland.
No.
Where?
So if we're gonna do this the way you keep score, I just gave you a standing 8 count. You were down big time there. That was filmed in Milwaukee.
Oh, in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
You might go ahead and redo that whole thing over because you froze up. So ask me again. Go into that whole spiel where it was played. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that like last week we talked just a little bit about Cleveland. You played the awesome clip from the movie Major League with the snot on the ball comment. That was based on the Cleveland Indians.
I remember that.
Yeah. Do you know where that was filmed? Yeah. Where was it filmed? Yeah.
Thanks for Milwaukee.
Yeah, it was. It was in Milwaukee. I knew that was coming.
Oh my God! You walked into another punch. Left hook.
I knew it. You just edit out whatever you need to every time to make yourself, the Bill show. And I told you, I'm just along for the ride. So.
So let's start out here, Coach, with some of the comments here. We've got check out the Rileys. Says, bam, let's go down to the ballpark. Hazy Cheesy says, here to support. And thumbs up, my friends. The Hopsters with her traditional and trademark love, love, love. Listening to this while on premiere. You guys are funny as heck. Glad to catch this on here for support. And she's listening to us while drinking coffee during the last show. The show.
Mahalo.
The show that we had on the 20th. And let's go to this other one here, Coach. Filipina Desert Gardener says, "Aunt Hazy Cheesy, I totally missed it. So bummed didn't get to join you guys. Next time, call me POD." Laughing to remind me. And Filipina Desert Gardener really loved the punch that I put on you in the 8th round. She says, boom, Toys R Us. Ha ha, getting a good laugh out of that. So, Coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, they all loved your hat.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. So, Coach, Brett Glasso asked a question about a week and a half ago about, why they have the white stripes, on the college football.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I do. So college football has been around a lot longer than professional football. Bill just assumed that they started playing professional football when the reality of it is college was playing for a long time prior. And so the college football, it's still, for the most part, a traditional football. And that first football was had the white stripes on each end. They tweaked it a little bit at one point and just added a black liner to it. When the NFL started playing, they also started using a ball with white stripes on it. And the white stripes for the evening games, for the night games when lighting wasn't so good, that's where that white stripe became a factor, and that's why they wanted that. But as lighting got better in the NFL game, the NFL started doctoring their ball or changing their ball up, giving it different designs, pretty much mostly brown, the consistency of the leather, that type of thing. So college football actually just developed it like that. They've kept it that way. They've kept it traditional. Mm-hmm. And great question. Appreciate the question. So there it is.
Yeah, great question, great answer there, Coach. So with that, that's a wrap. Joe, you got anything for us coming up next week, what we can talk about?
Yeah, so I know some of you are waiting very anxiously on the tight ends. So we'll do some tight ends for the draft. Yeah, we'll do some tight ends for the draft. We also are going to talk about free agency. It's fast, it's furious right now. I believe 2 days ago I heard on the radio that there was 36 NFL free agents over the age of 30 that had been had signed, and under the age of 30 there was already over 100. So I mean, that's 130 free agents right there. Kind of crazy to think about, and a long way to go. So we'll break some of that down. We'll give you some of the bigger names. We might be able to give you some grades up front here through free agency so far. So that's what we're going to do. And I would like to say that Bill is a formidable opponent. I have a lot of respect for him. I have my hand raised, and still heavyweight champion of the world. But I give Bill a lot of respect, and I need to make an apology. I had said that I was contemplating never taking Bill to another Brewer game again. That was in the heat of the moment. I'm a competitor, and that's me taking accountability, and I'm trying to model some accountability for Bill. So I am taking accountability for that, and I do apologize. And I'd love to take you to a game today and buy you a brat. That'd be a good time.
I'll be there in the morning.
What time can you be here?
So just one thing. Bill and Joe show. All right, I think we're going to actually do the top 5 tight ends. I think we're going to kind of eliminate the top 10 thing and, kind of lower it to 5 for now on, in some of the positions so we can – it freezes up so we can talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, I think it's fun to kick in something else in there while we're doing it. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So with that, you guys, we'll catch you next weekend. Thanks for watching. Please leave your questions and comments down below the video, and feel free to take a couple of shots at that guy. We'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Hello, folks. This is your old pal, Kevin Kennedy from Marvelous, Michigan.
Aloha, guys. This is the Hapsters all the way from Hawaii.
Hi, I'm Brian Rozeppa, author of You're Hired, A Guide to Working in Sports.
Hello, hello. Panoy Ahoy here from snowy Massachusetts.
Hi, Tim Desiak here, inviting you to join POD Sports Zone, 11 p.m. Philippines time with Bill and Joe.